So I don't like to do all that waiting around initially. I did that for years, and I just discovered last week I shouldn't start the YouTube until I introduce myself. Hi, Lainey from Tennessee. Okay, I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm Lisa from BratBusters Parenting. If you go to my website, you can get my free behavior board. You can look into my courses. Coaching's a bit of a problem because it's a huge wait list, but I'll get to it eventually. And the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and you can watch it on YouTube if you want. So did I miss anything? No. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday. I did. My granddaughter's just turned 2, so she's starting to get stuff, right? So it's more exciting. When they're 1, they don't understand presents or anything, but she's starting to get it. It's amazing how quick they catch on to that. Coleman, Alabama. Hello, Mary. Got Audrey. Is that how it's spelled? Audrey? Ohio. I thought it was. Oh, I had it wrong. I thought it was R-E-Y, but I guess you can, or is it Audria? And I've got Lainey from Tennessee. Lindsay from Springfield, Missouri, 3 and 5-year-old. I purchased the one for 3 to 12. Okay, I think that's the more popular one. I'm not sure my daughter does all that. Is it? I don't know. She'll tell me later if she's watching. Anyway, yeah, the 3 to 12-year-old obviously goes for a lot longer, right? So you got like all those years there. The toddler one's very short in that you only got a couple years with toddlers. So I think that's why we sell a lot more of the 3 to 12-year-old ones. Gold Coast, Australia. We used to go down, spend a lot of time down there because we're from Brisbane. And we're there for about 20 years. Oh, respiratory viral infection. That's kind of what I had. So yeah, I didn't know it had an acronym or a short. Oh, okay. It is rampant. Yeah, probably up here too. Okay, Stacy from Western Australia. Never made it over to Perth. I was just on the East Coast for all those years. Okay, so let's get going. Geez, people are from all over the place. It's wonderful. Okay. I'm going to answer questions now. Lori says, how do you explain my 3-year-old that his grandfather is dying? They don't understand it. Just say it like it is. He's going away. You won't see him again. It's just awful. You can't make death easy. Okay. It's one of those things. Yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, you can't make it easy. They don't really understand it. You can say whatever your beliefs are too. Is he going to be up watching over you? I don't know. I would never know what to say to kids with that. I tend to just say it to them straight, but he's only 3. So say, yeah, he's not feeling very well. He's going to be sick for a long time. And then when he's gone, just say, sorry, sweetie, he's gone. He's watching over you. I'd probably say all that. You just can't prepare people for certain things. I know my mom had a very long goodbye with both my parents, cancer, and then mom had dementia, and she was in her 90s. But it's funny because you think you're prepared, because I had a lot of warning with both my parents. I was 14 when my dad died, so that was different. But then when they die, it's like, no, I can't believe it. You know they're dying. But yeah, even as an adult, it's still hard to prepare for that, right? You can't make everything easy for your kids. Sometimes life's just tough, and they got to learn that, Alaska. Hi, Hannah. 16-month-old. I have a 1-year-old, and we'll be getting the toddler program as well. Yeah, I like that one. We were going to do a teen one, but my daughter said, no, we want to add some stuff to the other 2. We keep trying to add stuff to them depending on your feedback, what you want in those courses. So, and if we do add it, you're always going to get access to it. Once you're in there, right? So, but yeah, she said, no, can't do the teen course yet. She just tells me what to do in the business. She goes, there's a couple things I want to add to the other courses first. And that takes time. We have to look at it. And anyway. Okay. Because sometimes stuff comes up that we don't always see. Like we don't always know what's going to come up. And also when we do those courses, they're based on my information, not necessarily your needs. They're not always exactly the same. So it's taken me 20 years in this business to sort of put them all together, figure out what you need and what you want, and then what I tell you, So anyway, I'm really proud of the courses, but we're always tweaking them, right? Nova Scotia. Hi, Rose. You've been here before, I think. I didn't recognize that last name. I had an Aunt Rose, my mom's sister. Okay, am I on YouTube? Let me see. Yeah, a few people on there, just no one's commented yet. If you're on YouTube, feel free to comment. What I do is whenever I do a live, I'm on YouTube the whole time, and then I bounce from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. So I go from my smallest platform to my biggest. Actually, YouTube's not a social media platform. It's a search engine, so it's quite different. It's really hard to crack, but we really just started on here kind of sort of really going full force about a year ago. And I think we're almost at 50,000 on YouTube now, which is great. Yeah, YouTube's a hard nut to crack. I'm just reading kind of a long question here. Ooh, that's a long one. Aran Nash. So I know that you say to remove the child when hitting. I have 2-year-old twins and 3-year-old, and my twin boy will hit his older sister. Okay, and vice versa. And I take him away from the fun, but am I supposed to sit there with him and console him, or sit there with him and you got to figure out what's causing it first. A lot of parents just go after the hitter. They're often the victim. What if the 3-year-old goes, no, you can't have that. I hate you. They're the cause of it, right? So I go after both. So that's why I can't answer that, because I'm not sure what's going on there. You got to figure that out. Who's starting it and who's stopping it, basically. So you got to go after this one who starts it and the one who finishes it. So I go after both. Were you teasing him? No. That's usually what no. Innocent as anything. Get baby cams or whatever. You got to be sometimes a fly on the wall to find out what's happening. And this happens a lot where I'm hired by a family and they'll say, we've really got this one problem child. I always say, who's the target? There's usually one that's a target. And they'll say, yeah, he's just always hitting his younger brother. And so he's a real problem. And I said, well, does he hit at school? And they said, no, he only hits his younger brother. So I'm like, okay, I can put this one together pretty quick. I said, what's his younger brother doing? They say nothing. He's the sweetest little boy. And I said, become a fly on the wall, get a camera. Sure enough, the younger brother's poking him. You know, he was starting it, basically. And they were shocked. They couldn't believe their precious little angel was starting all this trouble, because the older one was more emotional. He was more reactive. And the younger one knew that. And boy, did he have fun poking the bear. So we fixed that one up. So funny. Tracy, my 3.5-year-old has been throwing tantrums over you'll know what I'm laughing at in a minute, over every single thing, and I don't know what to do. I'm not sure if it's for attention, but she keeps saying, I ruined her day. Do I just ignore these ridiculous tantrums over everything? Yeah, but also make sure you connect with her, okay? You never want to ignore tantrums if you're not connected with your kids, because I don't teach discipline really. It comes up all the time, but really I'm teaching connection here. Once you're really connected with your kids and playing in their world, they're less likely to have tantrums. But yeah, so make sure you do that. And if she keeps saying, you ruined my day, go, oh, okay. Yeah, don't react to it. I'm suggesting it's getting under your skin, and that's why she's doing it. Oh, you got a 1-year-old banging their head on the ground when they get upset. Yeah, they're going to do that. They don't understand concussions or anything yet, right? So just, when they're going to start having a fit, you might want to put them on a couch and just sort of hold them there, but still look away, let them have their tantrum. Then you do indirect redirection with babies. To me, a 1-year-old's still a baby. They're toddlers when they're about 16 months old to 35 months old. Anyway, so what I would do is just sort of, get them somewhere soft where they can't hurt themselves. But you don't look at them necessarily, but you do indirect redirection. What that means is, so they're getting all upset, and you might take one of their favorite books and just hold on to them to keep them safe. And then you might just start reading the book. Oh, what happened over here? Wow, the fox did that. The idea is they'll just crawl into your lap and play with you. I can't figure out my watch. Every single hour keeps vibrating, and I can't figure out why. Oh, it's driving me nuts. Okay. Sorry about that. It's just driving me nuts because I keep thinking I'm getting a message, and it's not. I need consequences that my kids don't enjoy. Have you checked out the free behavior board? It has a bunch of ideas in there, but don't get caught up in the consequences. Everyone thinks there's a perfect consequence. Nope. It's just about consistency. It's about doing a good deed. So they do something bad, you replace it with something good, like a good deed. Okay, do a chore. They can just wipe a window, wipe a fridge, put some dishes away, help you with laundry, clean out the bathroom sink, clean the top of the baseboards, whatever. Doesn't matter what the consequence is, just so long as it's something that's a good deed. Okay, if they absolutely love doing it, I might switch it up. Okay. Oh, this is sweet. This is from Rebecca, and I haven't forgotten you, Kim. I'll get to you in a sec. It's on YouTube. Lisa, my 3-year-old boy is such a pleasant little human because I found you when he was 15 months old. Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks for that. I'm just here giving the advice. You're the ones who do all the work. Pat yourself on the back. You've earned that. Okay, this is Kim on YouTube. How would I support/discipline my child from copying her cousin's bad behavior when at the grandparents' house, but no one is disciplining the cousin? I need to know the age. If they're 3 and above, let's just say they're 4. If they're 4 years old and they're copying their cousins who are 4 also, okay, then I would put on the behavior board, whatever it is that you don't want them to do when the cousins are around, put it on the behavior board and say, we'll talk about that when we get home. So when you get home or away from all the cousins and everything, then you say, okay, here's your consequence. Just follow through with the behavior board. When you're a leader, they're not influenced by others. They just aren't, because you're such a strong influence as a leader. They're influenced by you. That's what leadership's all about. If you're not a good leader, they're susceptible to peer pressure, which is what that is. The drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians, you get the idea. 3 and the cousin is 4. Okay, so that applies. Yeah, you can start the behavior board at 3. I love that you two get to do this together. Who are you talking to, Haley? Is that my daughter? Yeah, my daughter and I work together. She came on board full-time a year ago. She left her corporate job. She realized how well she was doing just part-time with me, so it didn't make any sense to stay in her other job. And so, yeah, she runs the show for sure. And yeah, she's in charge of all the planning and marketing and all that stuff. I'm the product, but she sort of runs. She's better at business than I am. I hate money in business. I hate it. Okay, any suggestions for, this is Lisa, never mind, Lisa. Any suggestions for teachers when parents are not helping at home with behaviors? Nope, I don't teach teaching at all. I stay in my lane. I teach parenting. Even when I was working with kids for all those decades, I was kind of mothering each one individually as a behavioral mentor. So yeah, I very much in the maternal role. A lot of clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. One's a business, one's personal. They're just such different roles. I sat in the back of classrooms for years and years and years. I saw some teachers do some things that were questionable when kids were acting out. And I remember thinking, yeah, I would do that too, I'm sure. I don't know how you do it. I have the most respect for teachers. Sometimes a teacher would do something, it wasn't awful, but they might throw something in anger, just out the window or something. And then because they'd forgotten I was there, then they'd quickly look over at me and I'd just look away fast, like I didn't see nothing. What a tough job being a teacher. I think it was easier at one time because parents were more apt to discipline their kids at home, right? And that the schools had more authority too. The kid would go down to the office and, back in my day, they used to get a ruler on the hand. I'm not suggesting that's appropriate, but it worked. The school had power. Nowadays, you look at a kid wrong as a teacher and the kids take you to court. So you got no power, and the parents are more likely to be the pleasers these days than ever before. So they aren't disciplining at home either. It's kind of chaotic. And then when their kids are acting out, they blame the school for not making their kids good. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Queensland, I'm from Brisbane. Well, that's where my kids were basically raised. Arana Hills, if you're near Brisbane. That's the northwestern suburbs. I never would have left Australia. I married in Australia, and that's why I went down there. I never would have left Australia if my mother hadn't got ill. I loved it there. That was home for many, many years. Absolutely loved it. And I hope your New Year's been nice. Well, I haven't enjoyed 1 second of it yet because I've been sick the whole time. So today's the first day I've kind of recovered. I was sick since last Sunday. It was really weird. I had this really weird cold. So I was sick. Didn't feel horrendous, but I wasn't good at all. And then Saturday, day 7 was my worst day. And now I feel fine. So it was okay. And then horrible 7th day. And then the 8th day, I'm starting to recover. It was the weirdest cold. Usually it gets progressed. It sort of gets better. And then it's, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I'm not complaining. I still managed to work. I talked to a lot of clients. I had to mute and go and have a coughing fit every so often. But yeah, Not complaining. Everyone gets sick around this time of year, right? Ada from Chicago. Never thought to go to Chicago for some reason, but I probably will one day. I'm determined to get around more, especially around the States, because I would say most of my clients are American, and I've had a lot of invites, by the way. So yeah, I'd probably like to travel through the States one day and just to meet a whole bunch of people down there. I want to go to Austin, Texas. That's a real goal. I love New York. I'd like to go back there again. Okay, this is Amber. Consistent corrective actions help keep our kids from being brats, right? Well, I don't say the word brat. It's in my title, but I didn't really name my company that. Kids named that. Who decided what is bratty and bad behavior? Is a kid jumping on furniture bratty? How about, I don't want to keep saying that word. Saying, well, I don't know, just keep watching. You decide what you want a boundary to be. Some parents are happy to have kids jumping on their bed. Others aren't. You have to make that call yourself, okay? And consistent corrective actions I only use between the ages of 16 to 35 months. At 3 years old, that's 36 months, then you start on the behavior board, which is completely free on my website. This is Lydia. That was my grandmother's name, one of my grandmothers. Okay, you said to put up the toy when they don't want to put it away until the next day. It worked. Good for you. Good for you. You did it. My advice is easy to hand out. You're the ones who do the work. Good for you. Yeah, they learn. You got to be quick with these things, though. They put it together really quickly. Okay. Someone asked on YouTube, what are your thoughts on TV and toddlers? It's been a hot topic for a while, and I'm curious on your take. I don't really have an opinion on that. Screens are here to stay, okay? And I don't really have an opinion. You've got to make that call. It's your own personal choice, but they are here to stay. They're not going to go away, unless all of a sudden they figured out a way that we can just look through our eyes and see whatever we need to see without even a screen. But they're here to stay. So I do think it should be restricted, and I think it should also be in a schedule, like a routine or a habit and a structure so that they understand it. It can't just be, sure, we'll turn on the TV anytime you want. Should be like, no, you get like a half hour a day or 10 minutes a day. You decide what it is, one short show, whatever, or none at all. A lot of parents, one of my clients have no screens at all for their little ones. So that's your call. The reason is we don't really know. The jury's out. Do we know if screens are bad for toddlers? I would say consistent use. Yeah, probably. Like with anything, everything in moderation, right? We have the honker cough that lasts weeks. Oh, yeah, I was very lucky. I got through Christmas without getting sick. So I was really grateful. Oh, how sweet. Thanks, Amanda. She says, we're quoting all the time at my house. I got some quotable stuff. I've got some stuff that's just horrendous too. I come up with the worst analogies. I've got clients who will literally say to me that I've been working with for a long time. I'll come out with something. Well, it's kind of like this, and they'll go, gee, that was your worst one yet. I don't know why. I'm really bad at analogies, trying to come up and compare something to parenting. Oh, it's horrible. It's okay. I'm okay not being great at everything, that's for sure. Vancouver, Washington. I'm Vancouver, British Columbia. I always thought Vancouver, Washington was a really tiny town. It's not. It's a big city. I don't know why I had it in my head that it was tiny, because I always thought we were the bigger one. And, we're not a huge city. We've only got like about 3 million in Vancouver. Which doesn't make any sense why Vancouver's like the most expensive city, I think, in Canada. It's just ridiculous. Okay, you're asking about natural consequences. So in other words, you want the punishment to fit the crime. It doesn't have to. If they do something bad, you say, okay, now you have to do something good. You want to balance it out, right? And if they won't do that good deed, don't get caught up in what it is. Check out my free behavior board. It explains how you figure out consequences. So there is no perfect consequence. Everyone thinks there is. It really isn't. Like I literally have said to kids, just brush my hair for 5 minutes. Like it doesn't matter. You did something bad, now do something good. I'm replacing the bad with the good. They refuse not to do the good deed, then I take something away. So it's bad, good, right? Balance each other out. Then if they won't do the good, I have to come in with something bad. I don't like doing a bad consequence, but sometimes that's what you got to do, right? And they get it. That's their choice. It's not your choice. They choose to do the bad behavior. They choose not to do the easy consequence, which is just a good deed, chore or something. Then they chose to have 24-hour media blackout or whatever you're taking away. It's all them. It's all them. They start to put it together. One of my favorite stories, I often say this one, was that little boy. He was 7 years old, and he just got his PlayStation back after 24-hour media blackout. And he didn't know the mom was listening. And he sits down in front of his PlayStation and goes, I won't be doing that again. So he understood. It was his choice. He chose to do that. So it can be literally anything. Okay, yeah, good deed. Like I said, if my kids had acted out, they were never rude, but if they forgot to do a chore or something, I'd say, I remember once my son was about 8, he came home from school and he says, Mom, sorry, I forgot to, I don't know, make his bed or straighten his room before he left for school, which of course I had done because I'm a cleanaholic. Anyway, so I'd already done it. And he says, how about no PlayStation tonight? And I said, that's too much. Just brush my hair. So he'd get the brush and brush my hair for 5 minutes and we'd chat while he's doing it. You see, it's no big deal. Or else I'd say, nah, never mind. It's no big deal. I already was a leader. So when you're a leader, there can be you don't have to, it's not quite as hard. It's not hard at all. Getting respect is really hard. Setting yourself up as a leader, it's really hard work because you're changing an aspect of your personality. You're going to stop reacting to that bad behavior and just stay calm as anything, right? Calm brings on calm. They can't argue with a calm, loving leader forever. They eventually give in and they're just calm also when they stop acting out. But maintaining respect's piece of cake. Piece of cake. Oh, I said, Ashley, you helped me get my child off the pacifier. Thank you so much. He talks so much more now. Well, of course, because he doesn't have his mouth all muffled. That's so cute. Yeah, I did that with my son and it worked beautifully, but could have gone either way. You never know, right? Toddlers are not predictable. Okay. This is Bianca. What would you do if your child walks away from you outside and refuses to come back? Well, I don't know the age, so I can't really answer. Let's say they're 4. I would have a harness on them before we go out, and I would tell them, if you walk away from me and you don't come back, I'm going to clip you into this leash. Or if you just walk away from me, it's a safety issue, right? You clip them into a car seat. Why not clip them into a leash if they might get stolen or run over by a train or something, right? It's a safety issue. Boy, they hate that. Well, something else I was going to say earlier about the 1-year-old that bangs their head on the floor. Tons of them do that, by the way. If it's really a compulsive thing that they do and they are prone to getting upset a lot, I would get one of those foam helmets. You can order it. It's basically made for kids with special needs, who do bang their head on walls or whatever. So you can get, I don't know where you want to get it. And also, I'm not saying it's safe. I don't know, but lots of my clients have tried that. And they say, boy, in one day, that kid never bangs their head on a wall, even a baby. They hate getting that thing put on their head. But you got to be quick. As soon as they start to bang their head, you go, nope, put that helmet on. And then you stay around them, make sure they're safe with the helmet, right? And just stay there. They hate that thing. So, yeah, that evidently works like a charm. What was it? Something came up the other day, and it's a really common, it was spitting. One of my clients used my spitting technique, and it didn't work. So we've had to adjust it. Not everything works all the time on every single kid, okay? But spitting, what I do with spitting, it's one of my most popular or one of my most successful methods. But it doesn't work with every single kid. That was one of the few that it didn't work with. So we did something else. The Kardashians, huh? Yeah, I'm not dissing the Kardashians, but I'd rather be their leader than my kids look to the Kardashians for leadership. Enough said. I'm really not dissing them. I've never seen their show, so I don't know anything about them. Okay. Oh, thanks for that. I'll tell my daughter. My daughter and I do the, Amy, we do the, she works with me. She's my business partner. And we do the podcast together. And we tried to do it because I've been sick that last week. So we haven't been able to film. And we do two podcasts a week, but we always got some in the can ready to go, thank God. But anyway, we tried to do it like she works from her home and I work from my home. So we tried to do it that way. It did not work. The energy wasn't there. And it was just, when we finished it, we said, yeah, the information was fine, but we both said, chuck it. So tomorrow we're going to be filming a couple of them. So we have so much fun doing that. But yeah, the energy wasn't there. We need to be in the same room. Oh, there she is. Just a sec. Hi, babe. I'm just in the middle of a live, okay?
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, sorry about that. She obviously doesn't listen to my live. She didn't know I was doing one. You are the product. That's so cute. Yeah, I am the product. I'm the service, the product. She just manages me as best she can. I'm the crazy one between us. She's so level-headed. I'm the goofball in the family. I had a client the other day, and I usually get, it's just the weirdest thing. I usually get a picture of what's going on. It's like a photograph in front of me. I just do. It can shift and change as we work together and that. But I couldn't get this picture. I just couldn't get it. It was driving me nuts. I think I went 20 minutes overtime with them because it was my last session of the day. And I was telling them, I just can't get the picture. I don't know what's going on here. Then I realized later on, I had a fever and I thought I did really well considering I was sick. And then I realized I was just overthinking it. I wasn't trusting myself because I was feeling a bit loopy. So yeah, I'll have a good laugh with them or next time I talk to them. And I look back at everything I'd said to them. It was solid advice. So I don't feel I messed up or anything. I just wasn't as clear-headed as normal. My 17-month-old son continues to throw food from his tray and throws his bottles on the floor. And we say, all done, then remove the tray. Okay, good. He continues to throw things. I'm over picking up. Okay, he continues to throw things. He's 17 months old. Continues to throw food from his tray and throws his bottles on the floor. Once he starts throwing the food, we say, all done, then remove the tray from him, from the high chair. He continues to throw things. Well, have you followed my advice where you say no, let him, and he continues to throw things though. I might physically restrain him a little, but like just hold him away from stuff. Let him have a bit of a fit. You kind of want to push them into a bit of a fit if you're taking control in that situation. He's getting very physical. So yeah, I would just hold him. No, you're not restraining him like in a straitjacket. You're just restraining him from throwing things. And you just say no, and then just sort of look away, but he's still really little, right? So then you might want to put him back in the high chair and hand feed him. So he can't actually hold anything. If he goes to throw it, you've got your hand on there too. And you just say no. So you control that. I know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to have a fit because he wants to hold it all by himself. That's okay. Just keep going. You got to win that battle. You got to outhold him, like outhold the item so that he can't hold it. They usually get bored with this after a while and they'll move on to something else. Oh, yeah, alarms going everywhere. That one told me that I have to move now. So I'm going to move over to Instagram if you want to join me over there. I'm going to be on, I'm always on YouTube and yeah, I'm always on YouTube. And then I go from Facebook, which is what I'm on now. Now I'm going to Instagram and then I'll go to TikTok. Like I go from my smallest to my biggest platforms, Facebook up to TikTok. So I'm going over there now. If you don't want to join me, oh, another message threw me off. It was my daughter, but it's our personal thing going. Anyway, so if you don't want to join me over on Instagram, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, which is a bit of an issue right now. I do have a big wait list, but I'll get to it eventually. And you can also look at our podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube. If you want to watch us, we do 2 a week, every Tuesday and Thursday mornings, or whenever. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram now. Bye now. Now, wasn't I lucky to not get sick until after Christmas? Felt very fortunate. Am I on Instagram? I'll know pretty quick because it just doesn't look like it. Just a sec. Sorry, YouTube. Okay. Am I on Instagram? Should be Instagram. Yeah, because it goes really quick. Like people come in fast on Instagram. Okay. I just wasn't sure which one I was on. Okay, so this isn't TikTok now, it's Instagram, right? It's Instagram, right? Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I'm just scrolling ahead on YouTube here while I let everyone come in. Okay, I've got 100 in Instagram now. I always wait till I get 100 there. So anyway, thanks so much, Amanda. Anyway, thanks for joining me. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. You can look into coaching, which is an issue. I've got a big wait list, but I'll get to it eventually. And then you can also look into our podcast if you'd like. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. We do them every Tuesday and Thursday. And they're on YouTube if you want to watch us do the podcast. My daughter and I work together. Thanks for that. I appreciate your support. I get so many people say so many nice things to me on here. I just really appreciate that. Okay, how do you know when to draw the line with a tantrum? Good question, by the way. Like if they just keep crying, do you drop and comfort them? Depends on the age. And it depends on what the tantrum's over. I don't want to answer that without an absolute specific context question. Do you know what I'm saying? And the age and the context around it. Sometimes I do. Like if they're sick, I never ignore a tantrum. If a kid is sick, if their needs aren't being met, I never would ignore a tantrum. Okay, you always meet their needs. So if they're sick, tired, hungry, I feed them, put them to bed. I don't ignore a tantrum if their needs aren't being met. I only ignore the tantrums over wants, like they want your phone because they like looking at, so yeah. I don't know why I was talking like that. I haven't done a live in a few days just because I've been sick. I'm out of practice again. I used to do these every single day for a couple of years. And then I got super busy. And now things have sort of better at managing things now. For anyone, I don't know if anyone's been watching me for like 20 years in my business. I doubt it because your kids would be grown by now. But some of my old clients from back in the day, their kids are now hiring me. And so for their kids. And but yeah, I was doing okay, for about 15 years in my business. And then a couple of years ago, I just took off like a rocket. It all happened on TikTok. Changed my whole life. And then my daughter's on board, changed our whole lives. Just took off like a rocket. We talk about it, while, my message was not well received for many, many years because the pleaser parent style had a hold on people. And then they realized it ain't working, right? It's a disaster. You're going to raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental problems. I mean, it's just a disaster. You're not building fortitude. You're not making them earn things. You're telling them they're wonderful all the time so that they never have to work at anything. You're making everything easy for them. But anyway, and I figure that's what happened, that it just wasn't, they realized it just wasn't working. So that's why people were starting to listen. So I'm grateful for that. I never gave up though. I'm so adamant about what I believe in. Yes, I never, ever, ever gave up. I believe in this. Okay, you must be Australian. Pocket radiology. How can I get my 3.5-year-old who is continent with weeing in the toilet, but also poo in the toilet? Okay, weeing is, I raised my kids with that term because I raised my kids in Australia. In North America, we call it peeing. So I thought when I first went there, weeing, you mean like really tiny? I didn't understand it. Okay, so very, very common for them to not want to poop in the toilet. It's usually boys, and I kind of know why. Yeah, the pleaser parent's still around, I know. Hi, Tabitha. It's still there, but I'm fighting it. And they don't come after me as much as they used to. A lot of other coaches were coming after me, and they've stopped doing that now. So I think they realize maybe I'm onto something. No, they probably don't. It's probably still hate me. They just gave up because they don't bother me, right? Okay. Anyway, now there's three reasons why they don't want to poop on the toilet. Usually, okay. One is plop phobia. Maybe they've been splashed when they pooped, right? So, and I'll tell you how you cure this. The second one is hanging phobia. So when they're pooping in their pants, it's all smashed up and there's no hanging or tugging or pulling on their rectum. You know what I'm saying? Well, you do now because I actually said it. Anyway, so they don't like that pulling, tugging feeling. The third one is cold butt. They might just be cold, especially in Australia. Not right now because it's summer there, but especially in Australia because people don't have central heating there. So the toilets are cold there in winter. Anyway, so what I would do is I would get a little porta potty, put some toilet paper in the bottom of it, and their bum can touch that. They can feel that there's not going to be any splash. There's also their poop hits the bottom before it's out of them, so they don't have that tugging feeling. And the other one is hike up the heater, put an Afghan around them or something when they're sitting on there so they're not cold. It's usually boys. Yeah, sometimes girls, almost always boys though. Potty training. 2.5 is a good age to start. Could be earlier, but if you start at 18 months, they're more likely to regress and go backwards because it's just a bit early. But, you know, there's exceptions to everything. Some of them don't train till they're 4 and 5 even. So, or at 5, they're usually partially trained. But sometimes they just have immature bladders, you know, that just don't send the messages as well, or they don't listen to the messages. So it's not uncommon for 4 and 5-year-olds to still have a lot of accidents. You got to put the ages in here, or else I can't answer, because some questions I can sort of generalize, but others are so completely different for a toddler than it is for a 6-year-old, which almost everything is, to be honest. Almost 3-year-old, okay, almost 3-year-old, we say no and remove a toy. But now he says take another truck and will do more behaviors to get us to take things away. Oh, he's just playing into it. He's like, I don't care. He's just beating his chest. I don't care. Here, do more to me. It doesn't hurt. It's that bravado stuff, I'm assuming. Okay, and why are you just taking a toy away? Do you start with the first consequence? It's not the first thing I do. If you say no, I don't really say no. Check out my free behavior board. It explains how you discipline. Or I might say no, but I don't just take action. I walk to the board and follow through with the first consequence. I don't take something away the first time. Unless they're a toddler. Are they like a toddler? Oh, he's almost 3. Oh, almost 3. You might want to move on. If he's starting to manipulate like that, you might want to move on to the behavior board. Oh, for goodness sake. Ringers going everywhere. Okay. You got to put the ages down. I was just going to answer a question. It's a really good question, but I really need an age for most of them, and that was one of them. Oh, you're asking about how to get medicine into kids. I don't discuss medicine in any context. I know you're not asking my medical advice, but how do you get the medicine into them? I can't give you any advice around that. I would just Google that or chat GPT that, okay? Whole bunch of old-fashioned home remedies that might work. But I know what I did with my kids and it worked, but I can't tell you that because it's medicine related. You understand why my hands are tied? I'm not qualified to discuss that. Well, I don't quite understand the question. This is Kylie. My 21-month-old is always asking me to get me up all the time, even if I want to just chill for a second. How do I deal? You just ignore it. You just say no. Just say no, and then just get busy doing stuff. Don't say no and then stand there with your hands on your hips. Just say no, and then just sort of wander off, sort of absent-mindedly doing dishes or something. They'll eventually learn. Yeah. This is sort of a similar question to the other one. My 3.5-year-old wouldn't care about any consequence, not even media blackout. He would cry a bit and then tell me something like, I don't want TV. I don't need it. Yeah, he's just going like this. I don't care. You can't hurt me. That's all he's saying. You can. It bothers him, I'm sure. But anyway, there's all sorts of things you can take away, not just TV. You might want to invent leverage. Let's say he doesn't do the first consequence and you say, okay, we were going to surprise you by going out for donuts tonight, but now we're not going. You've just taken away something you were never going to do anyway. He'll probably say, well, if I'm good tomorrow, do I get donuts tomorrow? No, it's ridiculous. You don't owe him that. Say, no, it's just going to be a surprise for tonight. Not fair, not fair. Oh, well, and you go up humming, doing the dishes. Let him process this stuff. How do you manage? I like older kid questions. I actually specialize in teenagers, but not a lot of teen parents come on here. Parents who have teenagers, I mean. How do you manage a child, 9-year-old, that refuses to clean up after themselves, loves to make a mess, and then throw everything all over and expects me to clean up? Okay, so Melissa, what I would do is I'd put on the behavior board very specifically one particular thing you want them to clean up, okay? So it could be this. Put dishes away in the dishwasher before you leave the kitchen. You have to be specific. If they leave the kitchen, if you don't say before you leave the kitchen, they'll leave the kitchen, then they'll say, well, I was going to do it later. You're avoiding the argument, right? You make sure it's very specific. So put your dirty dishes away before you leave the kitchen. Stuff like that. Get very, very specific. Or put your dirty clothes in the hamper and nowhere else. Or don't leave, whatever it is, but only pick one thing. You can't do everything. You can't say, tidy up after yourself or else. It's ridiculous. It's one specific thing. And then if they don't do it, then there's a consequence. Check out the free behavior board. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. It explains how you do this. So I'm scrolling ahead just to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. YouTube. Okay. Frugal Mama Wolf. Hi. I forget to give a consequence when we're out, and I say we will talk about this later. Well, you didn't forget if you said we'll talk about it later. Should I do a consequence in the moment? I have a 5, 3, and 2-year-old. No, the 2-year-old you got to do in the moment. And then you said you're pregnant too. You're busy. Boy, you're going to have a lot of kids under 6. Okay. So, yeah, you just say, we'll discuss it when we get home with the 3 and above, right? The 2-year-old, it has to be consistent corrective action right in the moment, or else it doesn't work because they live in the moment. Oh, later you forgot. Oh, you got to write, you're pregnant. That's why. Yeah. So yeah, put it down in your phone. I would literally put an alarm on. I would literally set an alarm on my phone and put the reason why. A couple of weeks ago, I had my granddaughter one day a week. And one day I remember doing it. I thought, I've got it. I know I'm not pregnant. Obviously, I'm too old for that. And I put down an 11 a.m. alarm. And I have her all day, right? So I put 11 a.m. alarm, but I didn't put the reason why. The alarm goes off at 11. I had no memory of it. That was 2-3 weeks ago. Still driving me nuts. It's just stuff like that. What on earth? I would not have put that alarm on if it wasn't something that I thought was important. Isn't that crazy? I couldn't remember. Anyway, not pregnant, but I am 65, so. How much privacy do you give a 15-year-old girl with social media? That's a loaded question. I can't answer that. Depends if who they're chatting with, if they've ever gotten in trouble with social media, trying to meet strangers on there. There's so many variables with that, so I can't. But basically, I do give them privacy. The thing is, you work on your relationship with your teenagers so you don't have to police anything. You don't have to micromanage. I never did that with my kids. I trusted them 100% because our relationship was strong. So the only thing you've got with teenagers is your relationship, right? There's very little you can do consequence-wise with teenagers. Things shift and change. So I teach you how to, anyway, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. They are my favorite age. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information with, or they will tune you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2, negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. Hey, I want you to do the dishes or whatever. What do you want from me? So you negotiate stuff. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. They're allowed to make mistakes just like you did, just like you do. Okay. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times with teenagers. Then parents usually say, when do we discuss the bad times? And I say, never. And I know the reason why parents want to do it. It's kind of revenge. They want to get it off their chest. Your revenge is when they've got their own teenagers 20, 30 years from now, and they complain to you. You just sit back and watch the show. That's the only revenge you're ever going to get. Okay. And number 5, with teenagers, this is as important as the first one. The first one is listen to show empathy and understanding, not gather information to lecture with. This one is you can be a right fighter or you can be happy with a teenager. Pretty much any relationship. You can be a right fighter or you can be happy. They will die on any hill, even if they know you're right and they're wrong. And they're not always wrong. Sometimes you are too. But even if they know they're wrong, they'll still die on that hill and fight with you to the end of it, right? So just say, oh, let's just forget it, or let's talk about it later. Don't say when you've calmed down. Don't criticize them, okay? So yeah, we'll just talk about it later. So you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. I was talking to a client about this the other day, sort of a little bit of a roundabout way, about the importance of not being a right fighter. And that's a really good thing to know with any adult relationships too. I'm very good with words. You know how later on you think, oh, I wish I'd said that. I could say it. Like I've always been really quick, like really good with words. I'm not smart, but I'm fast. And I've realized it's not a likable quality. So I don't do it anymore. Yeah, it's not likable. Wow, aren't I impressive? Like, wow, I can really handle people. Wow, it's not impressive. So yeah, it's not likable. I don't do it anymore. Look amazing for 65. I don't have a filter on, but cameras are a lot kinder than real life, I'll tell you that much. Although I was talking to someone the other day, I got carded when I was 50. I didn't really, in a liquor store, I didn't really start to age until I hit about 50, 51. I started to notice then. I was slow to age, but now it's been a downhill slope pretty quick. I haven't gone gray yet, though. But I love my 60s. It's great. You know who you are. It's not that you think you're great. You just don't care anymore. You're like, I'm okay. You worry about everything when you're younger. Well, this is Leo. Leo doing Leo. That's cute. My 2-year-old still wakes up 3 times a night to cry. My wife is against sleep training. Any idea on how to stop this pattern? Not without sleep training. Yeah, you're looking for the easy road. There is no easy road. I'll tell you what I did with my kids. They were 10 months old and they both, oh, sugar, another alarm. Anyway, and I do know what that alarm's for, but I just don't have time to do it. Anyway, what I did with my kids, they were both 10 months old. They were both getting up once in the middle of the night because they wanted to be breastfed. They didn't need it. They'd often just play. Like they just want the attention. They just got used to doing it. So I did sleep training. I went in there when they woke up and I said, no. And I just gave them, covered them up and they had a fit. And so I went out and I said, no, good night, love you, and shut the door. And I sat outside their door crying into a pillow for 1 minute. And then I went back in and I settled them back down. I said, you're okay. And they were still screaming. They wouldn't lie down, but I just went in, said, you're okay. Went back out for 2 minutes, cried into a pillow. About the third time, they stopped crying and it was only one night. So, yeah, it was awful though. Oh, you're going to hate my answer. This is Natalie. 17-month-old son is grabbing dirt from the indoor plant and throwing it. Okay, I'm going to read my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. I just made my life easy. There's no way I wanted to keep saying no to kids. My granddaughter has never touched anything. I think she went to touch the Christmas tree once. They said no, and she's never touched it since. But both my kids would have kept trying. Like, she's really easy. I don't know why, but it's just the way they are sometimes. Some are more precocious than others. She's particularly not that way, so they're very lucky with that. They might get a hellion next. You never know, right? So anyway, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Anything that my kids couldn't touch was waist high, like was up where they couldn't touch it. So make your life easier. That's my basic advice. I don't want to be running around saying no all the time to toddlers. I want to relax and enjoy my toddlers. Funny thing is they weren't used to being precocious at home because there was nothing to get into. So when we went out, they were the least likely kids to get into stuff at other people's homes, which I thought was fascinating. Okay, that was number 1. Anyway, this is my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world, not your world. You don't go to the nail salon to connect with them. You go to the park and you roll down the hill with them. You do stuff with them. You don't have to continually do it the whole time, but you want to do some of that. Like if I take my granddaughter to the park, I'll go down the slide a few times with her, but then the old grandma, I don't want to do it all the time. So then I'll just let her go on her own, but I will do a lot with her. Enter her world. They just look at you differently. Number 4, you discipline toddlers in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. Their main form of communication is actions, body language, tone of voice, facial expressions. Okay. So it's not about words. All these big therapy sessions discussing feelings and emotions and all that. Use your words. All that garbage. It's crap. That's not for them. That's for you. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. Okay. That's why you use consistent corrective actions with toddlers. So if they do something naughty, you say one word, just say no, and they'll connect it with the consequence coming up. And then you either remove them from the fun or the fun from them, just for a period of time, a short period of time. Number 5, stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around up there. Like they're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. We got DM'd. My daughter sees all those DM'd. Neither of us have time for comments, but she does look at most of the DMs, I think. One of them said, for Halloween, they dressed their newborn up as a potato laying on a mattress, because I always say that. Isn't that cute? I don't know if there was a picture. I don't know. Yeah, okay. How do you not laugh when a toddler's disobeying and you need to correct, but it's hilarious? Yeah, okay, that's on you. You don't want to feed it. You don't want to encourage it. You don't want to validate it. You don't want to reward it, right? So that's on you. I can't tell you how to control your own emotions. Like that's like when parents say to me, "How do I not get upset when my toddler or my 12-year-old tells me to F off?" I can't help you control your emotions. That's on you. Okay, you shouldn't laugh, but if you do, sometimes you're gonna, but maybe turn your face or something. But yeah, I can't help you control your own laughter. I remember once, I don't know what happened. I was about 8 or 9 or something, and I said to my dad, I said, "Oh yeah, I was mad at him for something," and I said, "I wouldn't love you if you weren't my daddy." He laughed so hard, like in other words, "I love you, Dad." I wouldn't love you if you weren't my daddy. Wow, I really told him off, didn't I? I can remember not understanding why he laughed, though. Like I remember maybe I was younger than 8. What a stupid kid I was. Okay. Suggestion for a 4-year-old that is constant. He's always causing trouble. He's the instigator. Pokes everyone. Okay. I would just say no teasing other people and starting trouble. I would literally put that. It's not in the attitude department. It just isn't. Because if he's doing it to other people, it just isn't. So you put it on the behavior board. No teasing other people or whatever. And then if he does, there's a consequence. It should work. And don't do pep talks, positive reinforcement. That's garbage. Garbage. Don't do any of that. Just use a consequence. Like let's say we didn't want to pay our rent and the landlord gave us a pep talk or positive reinforcement. You're wonderful. You know how to pay. It's garbage, right? It's the consequences. They're going to kick you out if you don't pay your rent. We all learn through consequences, not pep talks. Pep talks are only good if they're already trying to do the right thing and you're encouraging them to continue. Like if they're trying to put their shoes on or something. Oh, well done. That's a pep talk. But if it's like, well, if they're throwing their shoes across the room, well, you're a good boy. You know not to do that. That's awful. Don't do that. Is no interrupting too vague for the behavior board? Yeah, it is. Sometimes I will address it, but I don't want to go into that here because it's a trickier one to do. And it's usually just comes up in coaching. And if I give you it's one that I need to work with people a little bit before we do it. It's kind of tricky, and you can understand why. No interrupting is kind of tricky. It's along the same lines as no whining. If you've heard me talk about that, you might want to look up BratBusters. Just Google BratBusters, anything really, and I've got thousands of videos out there. Look up Google BratBusters whining, and you might sort of get the idea. Yeah, you suggest media blackout as a consequence frequently. Do you have suggestions for screen-free, screen-limited home? Yeah, a lot of my clients have that. So yeah, you just take something that they love, that they use every single day, and you just remove it. If you don't have anything, you invent leverage. You say, okay, so you were naughty, you didn't do the chores, so we were going to surprise you and take you out for donuts or the arcade tonight. Now we're not going. You were never going to go. But if you do have other kids, you have to take them. So if you've got one kid who is really acting out and you don't use media and you got to go to the second consequence, you say, we were going to surprise you kids by going out to a movie. Now dad's going to take your 2 siblings and you're going to stay home with me. That's what you're taking away. You just invented something to take away. Now, do not feel you owe them that. Parents make this mistake. They say, oh, well, I did it the next night because I felt so bad. The whole consequence is useless then. You don't owe them that. They just missed out. They have to miss it. They can't get it later. Or else you haven't taken it away. You've just delayed it. Check out the free behavior board. It goes into all that stuff. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here. What time is it? I'm worried I might lose my voice soon. I'll keep going as long as I can. Oh, that's Leo doing Leo. Yeah. So this is how old was he? 2. He was 2. Now, is he in a crib or a bed? Can he get out of bed? Yeah, maybe you could answer that. I'll have a different answer. If he's in a crib, it's a very different answer from if he can get out of bed. Did you tell your kids about Santa and the Tooth Fairy? Yeah, I did. I love all that stuff. A lot of fantasy. They love that stuff. It's like I also, oh shoot, where is it? Oh, I haven't got it here. Anyway, I also do with my granddaughter that I have this little dog thing, and it can talk. It can't talk, but it's all fantasy. It's fun, right? That's what cartoons are all about. It's all fantasy. Anyway, I'll tell you a cute story. My daughter was, I don't know how old, maybe 5 or 6, and she was out with her dad, and she came home and she said, and my husband at the time, we're divorced, but anyway, at the time, he was laughing, and she was too. And he says, you won't believe what she did. They were out, and she said to him, she said, Mom told me there is no such thing as the Tooth Fairy. And he says, okay, well, the cat's out of the bag. And she was like, really? She was all upset, and he says, yeah, there's no such thing. Well, if she told you, then there is no such thing. We just make it up. So then I said, oh, way to go, Dad, and he realized he'd been trapped. She tried to trap him, right? So then I said to her, so do you believe in Santa? And she goes, oh, he's real. I thought that was so cute. So it's just the Tooth Fairy, which is the lesser of, I didn't care that much about that. Oh, Babygate. Oh, no, that's a different one. Sorry, I thought that was the Leo. If you don't answer that quickly, Leo, I'll forget. Crib. Oh, okay. If it's in the crib, I was going to suggest if they're in a bed, it's a real specific method. In the crib, I would just keep going in. If they go for 20, 30 minutes or an hour, I would just keep lengthening the time I go in. I might stop at 2 minutes though. Like it might be you go in after 1 minute. Then the next time you go in after 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah, that's probably long enough. And then just go in every 2 minutes. Now, if that's really not working, this is another method that I use. It's sort of a wussier method, but some parents do this. And I say what you can do is if you don't want to do that because it's too tough, you sit a chair beside their crib and you give them your hand and you sit beside in the dark with just a nightlight and look like you're nodding off. Okay. But they've got your hand. That's all they've got. They can be screaming. You don't comfort them, nothing. You're just sitting there nodding off. Like you're falling asleep. Okay. You're right there. You're just not giving into what they want. But yeah. So, oopsie. Okay, I got to go over to TikTok if you want to join me over there. If not, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching, which is kind of a problem right now because I've got a huge wait list, but I will get to it eventually. I will, I promise. And then you can also look into our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch it. We're almost at 50,000 followers on YouTube, which is a big deal. YouTube's a hard nut to crack. So that's we've really only been on there for a couple of years, I think. Like really going sort of consistently. Okay. How often do you do these lives? I used to do them every single day. I just don't have time anymore. But I used to do them every single day. And now I maybe do 3 a week. On a really good week, I might do 5 or 6 a week. I really love doing them. My favorite thing, I'll tell you what happened. We started doing the podcast and just got crazy busy. So we do 2 of those a week. And coaching's my favorite thing to do. And then lives used to be my second favorite thing because they're both talking to parents, right? But my second favorite thing now is doing my podcast with my daughter. And because it's the only time we ever work together because we work in the same company, like my company, or our company, but we work separately. And but then when we do the podcast, we do it together. And this is my third favorite thing to do, but it's just time. That's all. Anyway, I'm heading over to TikTok and I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all these lives. Happy parenting. See, people jump ship while I'm talking and then they end up on TikTok. They're already there pretty much by the time I get there. Okay. My daughter bought me a few months ago a mug warmer for my desk. Best idea. Love that thing. Okay. So I'm on, geez, TikTok's always asking all these questions and it's like asking me all these things. What do I want to do here? I don't know. I never know what I'm doing. I don't understand this. My 1-year-old will drop you in car, then tantrum. Must be toy. Drop toy in car, then tantrum. Why are you giving them toys in a car? I never gave my kids anything that they could drop and scream over. There was no food. There was no drinks. There was no toys in our car. That was just a place you get in the car and we travel. If they needed a drink or something, we'd pull over and they'd have it there. But yeah, you're sort of setting them up for failure, basically. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was just going to introduce myself. I'm on TikTok now, and I'm always on YouTube. That's where all my lives are saved. Anyway, welcome to the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. Check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into my coaching. It's a huge wait list, but I will get to it eventually. And you can also look into our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we also save it on YouTube. Anyway, we started that podcast a year ago, and our goal was 10,000 downloads in 1 year, which is evidently really good. We hit 1 million downloads in 1 year. We're just blown away. And we were only doing one a week, but when we realized it was picking up, now we're doing 2 a week. So yeah, blown away. Thanks so much for your support. I listen the odd time now. I never used to listen to them, but I listen to the odd podcast. I'm really proud of that. My daughter is really good at organizing it. She organizes the topic. I never know what we're going to be talking about. I'm no good at planning anything. I need to just be able to come up with something. I'm just like spur of the moment stuff. So she organizes everything. And but yeah, I just want to say thank you. If you do listen to the podcast, we're just absolutely overwhelmed by the support. So thanks so much. And we're here. Most of what we put out is free. And I'm here. My big thing is I've been doing this for 20 years. I didn't really take off until a couple of years. I went on TikTok. And just, I just basically exploded on TikTok and couldn't believe it. I think people are just ready to hear what I'm saying. That pleaser parent style had a stronghold on parents for like 30 years. I was battling that. It was really popular. Now parents are realizing it's a disaster. I said 30 years ago or 40 years ago now, probably, I saw it coming with participation awards. I thought, are you freaking kidding me? You're rewarding kids for doing nothing. How ridiculous is that, eh? Anyway. It was frustrating me. It was very frustrating. But people they're ready to listen because I don't teach authority. I teach leadership. And if you're a leader with your kids, it increases their self-esteem, and they're also strong kids. They also have self-discipline. And both my kids are really hard workers. They never expect handouts. They're just really independent, strong people. And I'm proud of that. Write a book, please. Yeah, we don't have time. My daughter said I can't write a book. Yeah. We just don't have time right now. I would love to write a book. We've kind of decided, I'll just put it out here for now. I was just going to do a general book, right, on parenting and then start the ball rolling. Then I was going to break it down. But you know what? I think we've just decided we might just focus on a toddler book. And that's our biggest audience. And that's where everyone's starting anyway, right? And then they could follow along with the books that are coming up after that. Then it'll be the 3 to 12-year-old. Then it'll be teenagers. Teenagers are by far my favorite age. But I really want to get the teen course out before we do a toddler book. So we'll see. I don't know. She just tells me what to do. Okay. But we get so much free information out there that I guess I could put more stuff. Okay. Basically, whenever you're following someone and then you start buying their courses, their books, whatever, coaching's different. It's personal. But the products that you're buying, right? The courses and books. The information's it's all out there already, okay, except the coaching. That's very different. But everything's already out there, but it's just organized and it's packaged. That's what you pay for. So really, if I haven't got a book, you could literally just go and listen to a whole bunch of podcasts. I know. We just did a 7-series podcast. It's in our playlist on YouTube. It's the playlist, and it's our 7 podcasts, and it hits all the basics of parenting. Okay, so that might be that's like a book right there, really. So it's just 7 podcasts. I keep forgetting about that. We did that about a month ago. Okay, is there any way to get my 2-year-old to let me read a book for her? She just wants to turn pages. My granddaughter's 2, and she is obsessed with books. She's always been very good with books, but she's good if I read it to her first. I go through it, and then she can read it. Then she'll read it back to me, basically. Well, sort of. But so I do read. I do just sort of. I didn't always, but it depends on the book. If it's a book she's read a million times, I just let her leaf through it. But sometimes she'll just want to lean back and let grandma read. I kind of let them guide me. It's not a necessity that you read a book. If they're enjoying it, sometimes she'll flip through it and I'll go, and then the fox, and then they went, it's just, I'm just trying to read a couple words off every page. She gets a kick out of that. It's just connection. It's quality time, right? Don't get too caught up in it. When does the why phase stop? My daughter's 5. Oh, it stopped with me in one day. If they say why, I would say, well, I'm not really sure. We can figure that out later, or I just don't know. Maybe we'll look into it later, or maybe there is no answer. I'd basically answer it. Then if they go, but why? I'd say, I already answered that. I won't be answering it again. And then I shut it down. I change the subject. But why? But why? Oh, beautiful day out there. I control the narrative. I control the energy, because now they're being rude. I've already answered them. She's 5. I've already said, I don't know why. We could look it up later, maybe. We'll check it out later. Or what do you think? Or, so I answer her. Then when she says it again, I say, I've already answered you. I won't be answering that again. In other words, now you're being rude. Now I shut it down. I control the narrative. I control the energy, right? Very calm, very pleasant. Beautiful day. Oh, I'm going to go do the dishes now. But why? Why aren't you answering me? I wouldn't even answer that. They'll say anything to pull you in. As soon as you answer that demanding, rude stuff, right? They're in charge. You're not a leader anymore. Do you have a video showing how to set up a toy rotation? No, because everyone does it differently. Basically, I boxed up all their toys and then I pulled out their favorites, or I let them do it. Okay. But usually if they're really little, you already know what their favorites are. And I never put away the big stuff like Lego or anything. They would know, blocks and Lego always stayed out. But those are big activity toys. They weren't allowed to have blocks and Lego and dolls and everything. They weren't allowed to have all that out. There was like, now you can play with blocks. If you want to play with Lego or Duplo, you put the blocks away first, unless they were really tiny. But yeah, I just kind of controlled the activities, the big stuff, right? And the less toys they have out, the more likely they are to focus play and be able to focus on one thing. If there's too much out at any given time, they can't focus, they get overwhelmed. You look at classrooms, they don't throw everything in the middle of a classroom and say, have at it, They say, oh, let's pack up. Now we're going to paint. Let's pack the painting up. Now we're going to do this. Now, you see, that's kind of how I ran my house. Like if I wanted my kids to clean up, boy, I was good at that. I would just say, okay, you know what? Mom's got something special we're going to do. As soon as you clean up, then we're going to do this. They would race around, but they didn't have many toys out. And I'm very organized. There's always a spot where everything goes. It would take them like 2 minutes to clean up. Then they'd run. Then I'd be cooking up some Play-Doh on the stove, So I always had something up my sleeve. If I wanted kids to clean up, I'd say, oh, Mom's got something going here. You put your stuff away. As soon as you put all your stuff away, then you can see this. Ooh, and they'd run around doing it. Gotta be fun too. It's not, I never really told my kids what to do. I used the as soon as method. If I wanted them to do something, I'd wait till they asked for something. Oh, can we have a snack? Sure, as soon as you pack up your Lego, if I wanted it packed up. There was no, they go, oh, okay, and they do it. They never thought anything of it. It got to the point, they got so good at this, by the time they were about 3, they never asked for anything until they did what they knew I would ask them to do. So they wouldn't say, oh, can we go in the pool, until their toys were put away or whatever, right? Or if they just eaten a snack, they'd put all that away first. So, yeah. I'm such a fan. You remind me of my aunt, who was terrifying as a kid, but now she's my absolute idol. That's so cute. I don't know if kids are ever afraid of me. I think they, I know teachers used to call me what they call the Pied Piper. Kids followed me around. I'm a leader. I don't take any crap though. But yeah, I'm really good at connecting with kids and teenagers. That's my superpower, is connecting with them. And that's what I really encourage you to do. If you're not connected with them, none of this works. Like if I wasn't playing with kids, love language is fun, play. If I wasn't playing with kids, there's no way I'd ignore a tantrum. If I didn't have that relationship cemented, I wouldn't be doing any of this. You've got to connect with them. You got to be fun. You got to be loving towards them first. If you're always saying no and mad at them, this really isn't going to work. You got to find moments to really connect and have fun with your kids. Otherwise, you're just disciplining all day. Any advice for power struggles with 13-year-old daughter? I just read out, I was on Instagram, I think, and I just read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. I'll read it again. They're my favorite age, by the way. Okay, number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2, negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? Back and forth. Reciprocity, right? Number 3, with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? In other words, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes, right? Just like you did, just like you do, just like we all do. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. And then parents usually say, when do we discuss the bad times? And I say, never. Why would you do that? I never discuss bad behavior. I deal with it, but I don't discuss it. What's the point? It's just berating, blaming, shaming, bullying. It's mean. I don't discuss it. No, because they already know right from wrong. Why are you talking about it? It's because it's revenge. Parents want to get their little revenge in. I always say with teenagers, they can drive you nuts for sure. I specialize in crisis work with teenagers too. So I know how difficult it can be just working with this. But the revenge is when they are grown and they have their own teenagers and they complain to you, you can just sit back and watch the show. It's the only time you're ever going to get revenge. Now, the 5th one with teenagers or with adults too, is you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. You can't be both. Okay. You can be a right, even if you know you're right and if you get into an argument with a teenager or even an adult, what's the point? What's the point? Just, I'll tell you what, let's just forget it or let's talk about it later. If it starts to get heated, just bail. They will die on any hill, even if they know they're wrong. They're not always wrong, by the way. Sometimes you are. Oftentimes when I'm working with parents of teenagers, once the teenagers they never meet me. I don't meet kids. It's all done online. And the teenager, if they feel the parents are doing something unfair, they'll say, can you ask that lady, me, can you ask her if they think that's fair, what you just did? When they do, they never even met me. They just start to get the way I'm teaching their parents. They're starting to get where I'm coming from. Or they might look at me on the side. I don't know. I don't think they care enough to do that. But anyway, and they'll say, every single time that's happened, I always agree with the teenagers. Not because I want to, because they're always right. They would never say that unless they knew they were right. So every time I say that, the parents say, are you freaking kidding me? You mean that you actually agree with the teenager? I go, yeah, I do. Think about it, blah, blah, blah. And then I explain why. And they go, oh, I see. It's a lot more giving than getting. It's not tit for tat with teenagers. I don't want to go on about how I could elaborate on that little term. But anyway, it's about 99% giving and 1% getting. That's what you're going for. If you happen to get more, bonus. But a lot of parents expect more 50-50 with it. Your expectations are so out of whack. Teenagers are self-absorbed. They're narcissistic tendencies just because their hormones are kicking in. They're going through a lot. They're trying to exercise some independence. They know they're going to be adults in just a few short years. They're thinking about, there's a lot going on with them. So they're not really that thoughtful towards you sometimes, or hardly ever. Have you ever watched Bluey? No, I don't. I've never heard of it. Did you write the book Bully Busting? No, I've never read a book or written a book on parenting or kids or anything. Such a good question. This is on YouTube. Kay. What if you don't like how your kids play? Because I always say you want them to be in charge of play because you want to connect with them and play with them a lot. Like something always has to be blown up or die or fight or be a monster. You got little boys? I don't mind that. I don't like the dying and blowing up necessarily, but I don't mind the monster stuff. You always got to connect by entering their world. Doesn't mean you have to stay there. You could morph it into something else once you're in that world. But I get where you're coming from. I've worked with some families who have some very rambunctious boys, and they say there's a lot of stuff like that. 3 boys. Yeah, there you go. That's cute. Okay, sorry, but I really do have to go. I can kind of feel my voice starting to crack. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, bratbusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can check into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. Coaching, there's a big wait list for that, but I'll get to it eventually. And also, we have a podcast called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us. My daughter and I, we work together. So, and she's in charge of all the marketing and all the planning. So that podcast, I never know what we're going to be talking about. I always start the exact same way. So, sweetie, what are we talking about today? I literally never know what we're going to be talking about, because that's the way, it's the only way I can work. I could never plan out anything. I don't work that way. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. Happy parenting. Take care.